Yes. Mr. Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Preliminary matters on the AM docket. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, case number 4, Chick Fresh A, Annapolis Road, postponed. Case number 6, Kamari Restaurant, North Charles Street, postponed. Case number 7, Hanover Tap House, 1101 South Hanover Street. Application has been withdrawn. And case number 10, Murphy's Tavern, 5800 York Road, postponed.
Thank you.
Mr. Page, I have a preliminary matter.
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, sorry.
I want to thank, I think Commissioner Hayfield and I want to thank the mayor for renominating Judge Matriciani, and we expect the Senate to confirm him in its wisdom. And we just this morning, through our process, re-nominated and appointed him as chairman of the board, despite probably his objection. But we want to.
I nominate you, Larry. Thank you. So, thank you, folks. So for those who have not been here before, when your case is called, if you'll come forward, we're recorded and we're televised, so you'll be sworn, and then when you speak, if you will speak into the microphone so we can pick up your testimony, we'd appreciate it. Thank you. Mr. Page?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 305 McMecken LLC, trade name pending, 1517 Utah Place. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1603 C1 small I, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for a minimum of 75. Please come forward.
Counsel?
Yes, good morning. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicant.
Good morning. Folks, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. All right, thank you very much. Good morning and congratulations, Mr.
Thank you.
Chairman. This is the Flats Cafe at Utah Place, a gastro pub. I'm going to hand you a combined evidence packet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to evidence as soon as I'm done with it. The Flats Cafe at Utah Place is part of a apartment project that's being undertaken by Somerset Development Company, who I've worked with in the past. They have renovated some beautiful apartment and some beautiful senior facilities here in the city of Baltimore. They recently renovated next door to this facility a 266 or senior center, 266 units for seniors, yeah, a $25 million project called Linden Park. They also developed the Professional Arts Building at 816 Cathedral Street and maintain a restaurant on the first floor called Cafe Feely. And I'll talk to you about that in a minute. It's a $14.2 million project for the apartments and the ground floor retail restaurant. Within your packet, you see a floor plan. Next, you'll see a exterior rendering of the building. And the next few pages will show you the very attractive design of the entry, main bar, chef's counter, of the restaurant. The restaurant's going to have 75 non-bar seats, non-outdoor tables. You'll next see the menu, including everything from chicken and steak, beef tartare, seafood items, including crab cakes. It looks to be a fantastic menu. Having eaten Chef Ziad's food, who's you'll hear from in a minute, at Cafe Feely, everything he does there is perfect. It's small, it's perfect, and it's reasonably priced, and I expect that he'll wow the neighborhood with this food and wow his customers.
Did you tell Mr. Kadensky that it has smoked kielbasa?
I'll definitely pass it along. So after that, you'll see the proposal by Kensley Construction for $729,000 for the tenant fit-out for the gastropub project. Furthermore, there's a short budget at the end showing some of the items that they've acquired, including $100,000 for the kitchen equipment, another $30,000 for the furniture and decorations. It's an $801,000 budget for the project at this point, but that always goes up. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd like to first have you hear from James Ruffing with Somerset Development Company to talk about the construction. Ziad Malouf will talk to you more about the menu. And Jennifer Dugas is the city resident in this matter. She also happens to be my spouse, and I hope that you will not hold that against her.
We will.
All right.
We also, of course, want to know about who's going to manage the alcohol.
Absolutely, and we'll get to that in 1 minute with Mr. Malouf. Do you have any questions whatsoever about the construction or the budget?
When's it going to be completed?
The building's going to be completed in April of 2019, and we also hope to open the gastropub mid-April 2019. We're under construction right now. We're about 75% complete.
Can you state your name, please?
Yes, so I'm James Ruffing. I'm the managing director of
Ruffing?
Yes, that's correct.
Our reporter needs to take all that down. That's why I asked you. Okay.
I'm the managing director of Somerset Development Company. We're the owner of the flats at Utah Place, which is called the Jordan Apartments. It's 62 market rate units, a $14.2 million investment. It's market rate units, financed through HUD FHA. We are 75% complete. Kinsley Construction Company is our general contractor, and they're also going to be doing the build-out for the restaurant space, the gastropub.
That has not begun.
Not yet. We hope to start in probably 2 weeks. And you, as Steve mentioned, you have the proposal there from Kinsley. We're just doing some final tuning on the pricing and the contract with Kinsley Construction right now.
So in our file, we received an email from a local owner of a licensee or establishment, and they're worried about gastropub selling packaged goods. Can you talk about that?
Right. So I just became aware. I haven't seen the letter yet. I actually was hoping the licensee would maybe be here so I could ask him. Okay, thank you. And maybe this is an A license, right? The person across the street, the grocery store?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Cafe Feely, for example, which is the other project that Mr. Malouf's involved in, they don't even sell alcohol to go, even though they're completely permitted to by law. However, when you're designing these kinds of apartments, tenants and prospective tenants rely on the amenities. And obviously an amenity is having a place downstairs where I can go get something to eat. If there's a blizzard, it might be a place I could go downstairs and buy a bottle of wine and take it back upstairs. So let me first say that Somerset Development, by renovating and bringing in 266 seniors right next door, has done wonders, I'm sure, for the business in question. And having 62 luxury apartments in the neighborhood will certainly increase that business as well. My understanding is that's a grocery, so they will sell things like coffee and lottery tickets and many, many other sundries that the gastropub would never even think to provide. So I would argue that not only would it not be a de minimis impact on the existing licensee across the street, but actually there would be a positive impact on the licensee's business. They have no plans whatsoever to ever sell 6-packs or 12-packs or single beers or miniatures or anything like that to go. So if you live in the flats and you want those things, you'll probably go across the street.
Thank you.
Can I ask Mr. Ruffing a question?
Sure.
Are you associated in any way with the Maryland Multi-Housing Association?
No.
Okay, because I was unaware that there was an apartment community associated with this, so I think I'm going to recuse myself due to other professional considerations.
Okay.
Mr. Maloof? Tell me, state your name and spell your name for the record.
Ziad Malouf, Z-I-A-D, M-A-A-L-O-U-F.
And Mr. Maloof, you already run a cafe named Cafe Feeling on
Yes.
Cathedral Street.
Correct.
What percentage of your sales, do you have any off sales at all?
As far as like the package, the
Packaged goods.
probably like 1%.
So, I mean, it's a very
It's
rare.
an amenity for the building. They come down from the building on like a Sunday to pick up a bottle of wine and a 6-pack, but we won't have any of those display cases at the pub. It's a bistro style, so we're not gonna have a grab and go or anything like this.
All right, thank you very much. Tell me about your experience in the alcoholic beverage industry.
Been in business for all my life almost. I had a restaurant in DC for 20 years before I moved to Baltimore. We've been in business in Baltimore for the past year and a half. I've done multi-restaurants, concepts, worked for hotels and food and beverage for about 25, 30 years.
Now, you've been alcohol management certified for
Correct.
some time.
Correct,
And in
yes.
fact, you train your employees, don't
Correct,
you?
correct, yes.
All right, and you're going to make sure that you hire a manager when you're
There will
getting
be a-
closer to open that's going to understand the business.
Exactly. There'll be a full-time manager on premises all the time, managing the place.
And your manager, he or she will be trained and be fully compliant with our rules and regulations?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Anything further?
No, nothing further.
Commissioners?
Any other interactions or communication with the community?
Yes, Nancy Huff from Somerset Development did reach out to Bolton Hill, and I believe she reached out. This was several months ago.
Yeah, and I think in June, Nancy Huff, who's a principal at Somerset Development Company, met with Bolton Hill Community Association and presented the idea. We've met with them several times about the building itself, and this meeting in June was particular about the gastropub, and the community was in favor of and lots of support and very excited about the idea of this coming.
And I apologize for not trying to reach out and get them to affirmatively write a letter to that effect. If I may, I just want to move Exhibit 1,
It'll be received.
and if I may, just for the file, move in Exhibit 2, which is a fact sheet about the property.
Thank you. It'll be received as well. Anything else?
No, not at this time. Thank you very much.
Commissioner?
Nothing else.
Okay, thank you. Then on the basis of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council and the testimony received as well as the exhibits, I'd vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license for this location.
I concur on the same bases and vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. Thank you.
So good luck.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Thank you.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter from neighboring licensee. Applicant Exhibit 1, combined exhibit package. Applicant Exhibit 2, property fact sheet. Thank you.
Generations LLC, trade name pending, 1140 South Paca Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-903, small c, number 2, small I, requiring $500,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for a minimum of 75. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kanensky representing the applicant in the case.
And your name, ma'am, is Ms. Dean?
Yes, it is.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Mr. Kadensky?
This is an application for a new Class B license in that location. If the board's records would indicate, there was a license there for a number of years of Bobby's and something else, and apparently it had, the person there had not been successful. Ms. Dean came in, she owns the property, she bought the property, and she had been involved in catering and so forth, so she decided to start her own business. It has 2 floors. There it seats about 127 people, 62 on one level and 65 on another. I'm going to give you a packet that has the menu, the seating, the capital investment. We had Jonathan Melnick from ET Newell come in. There's some pictures showing you. We just got this, unfortunately, for Mr. Melnick's sister passed away yesterday, so he just handed it to me as we were coming up here.
Is there a name for the restaurant?
Yes, sir. Logic, 54.
Lodging?
Logic.
Logic. Oh, okay. Thank you.
And it makes sense with logic, doesn't it? Okay. And in addition to his appraisal, we are going to attach the point-of-sale system, so forth, coming up to $498,000, and she's going to acquire additional TV and bar accessories and additional kitchen equipment. She's looking for some fryers and so forth. She expects to spend another $7,500 on TV and bar accessories and additional kitchen equipment, about $30,000, all of which she'll supply to the board for a total of $536,000. I'll hand you at this point. When I'm putting the appraisal in as we're speaking. She'll operate the place along with about 7 employees. She's going to get alcohol certified. She's going to have most of her employees alcohol certified, and she will make sure that she's familiar with the rules and regulations of the liquor board. She plans on eventually acquiring and moving over into the area, and she has made arrangements to meet with the local community groups, and she'll explain this to who. And I think they're actually going to have a meeting at her place. On Mr. Melnick's appraisal has some pictures of the bar in a different area, and it's not quite finished. So at this point, I would give you an exhibit. Got one for each. I'm starting to learn how to do this after a while.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And the menu's not exactly complete because of the fact that there's a children's menu that's going to have to be added to that, but she anticipates if the board gives the approval, that probably within 30 to 60 days, she would be operational and open, and actually plans on having a meeting with some of the community groups that at the actual location so they could see it.
So where exactly is the 1100 block of South Paca?
You know, would they just call that Pigtown still?
So is that
Pigtown.
Pigtown?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they, you know, that area, they have Pigtown, Hearts of Pigtown. Most people have no idea what
Was it
Pigtown's
near the
about.
casino at all?
Not too far from the casino. And then she gets some stragglers over.
And how many seats?
62 on one floor and 65 on the other, 127.
And I look to have outdoor seating
You
also.
got to give your,
I look to have
no, you got to
outdoor.
give your the name. You got it? Oh, thank you.
What were you saying?
She looks to have outdoor seating. At one time, they had outdoor seating on the back.
And
on
how
the
many, oh, go
location.
ahead.
Hmm?
How many outdoor seats?
I think it's more than 20 or 30 out there.
Yes.
The application, does it ask for outdoor seating?
Not at this time, because
You're going to come back?
Yes.
You got zoning issues?
and that's where the problem from them having and so forth. Could you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Anita Dean. It's 1140 South Paca Street, Baltimore, Maryland.
And the information I've given to the board, is that correct?
It is.
And then along with that, you are scheduled, along with some of your employees, to take the alcohol awareness course, correct?
I have.
And you're familiarizing yourself with the rules and regulations of the board that's online?
Yes, I have.
And you also tell the board who you have talked to in the community, who you've arranged to have follow-up meetings with.
I've met with a Kim on Washington Boulevard. She's the community development marketer on Washington Boulevard. I met with her maybe about a month ago. I've spoken with some of the community associations. I look to meet with them. They meet once a month, but I've been trying to really make sure that the property is up and ready for.
And what is your background, Ms. Dean?
I've been in retail, liquor, wine, catering, pretty much all my life. So This would be a step up to be
In
able to
Baltimore
offer.
or in Washington?
In Washington, D.C., yes. So this would be an opportunity to bring an old building back to life to a great community. I mean, I've met with a lot of the owners that live there in the area because right behind it is their front. Behind the bar behind the restaurant is the front of their homes. And so I've met with at least 10 or 12 of the owners there, and they're looking forward to a new establishment opening.
And you think in 2 or 3 months you can be open?
Yes, sir.
Most of it's just to be as cosmetic and outfitting it with some additional equipment that's in it. The person who had been there, a lot of the equipment was taken and gone. And you can see from the pictures, there's here and there, but most of that you can go to Van Lease or Susquehanna and pick up the equipment.
Question,
Please, go ahead.
question about the live entertainment. It's on the application, but then there's a letter
Right.
from Ms. Dean.
We have to get zoning for it.
And that would take, I think, 6 weeks,
And-
and so I didn't want
Come
to,
back.
So you're not asking
So-
for it today?
yes.
No, we're not asking for it.
Okay, thank you.
One time they did have live entertainment there a long time, but that's since transformed Baltimore and so forth, we have to go back and get the application for it.
Well, that was one of my questions, and just to clarify, because I know that our record might be a little unclear, the seating total is 127 seats. You had 62 on one level and 65 on the
65
other,
on the
because we
other.
need to meet the 75
Yes.
seat threshold. Okay.
Yes.
And then my last question, Ms. Dean, is you reside in Washington, D.C.
I do.
So how do you intend to manage this with the distance? Are you moving? What's the plan?
I look forward to moving to Baltimore. It's been a great experience coming out here. I've been coming out here since the beginning of the year. And so the transition, the commute hasn't been that bad. It's like 35, 40 minutes. I live right off the 95, so.
Yeah, my only reason for asking that is we often, sometimes in the afternoon docket, get folks in on violations, and sometimes those licensees aren't present.
Oh, no.
And so
I'll be very
I
present.
suspect you will, but I
Yes,
just
I
wanted to
will.
make
Be
that.
very hands-on, because since she put in investment in this building, it's got a lot to lose.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I predict you're going to get tired of that commute.
Well, I look forward to finding something
You know, when
quite
there's
near in the area.
construction and
Yes.
accidents and snow and all those things.
I've had that experience.
Yeah. Okay, do the commissioners have further questions?
No questions.
Mr. Kennedy, anything else?
We'll submit.
Okay. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from counsel, the testimony, and the exhibits that have been received in evidence, I'd vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
I concur and vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
I too concur based upon the meeting the investment threshold and the seating capacity threshold, and would to grant the new Class B beer,
Good luck to
wine,
you.
and liquor restaurant. Thank you for your investment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, combined exhibit package. Thank you.
Full Tilt Brewing LLC, trading as Full Tilt Brewing, 5604 York Road. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license. An application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license under Article 12-1603 CII, requiring $200,000 in capital investment in restaurant fixtures and facilities and seating capacity for a minimum of 75. If approved and issued, the applicant shall make application to the Comptroller of the State of Maryland for a Class 7 microbrewery license under the provisions of Article 2-209B. Please come forward.
All right, good afternoon, Stephen W., good morning, still.
Yeah, we still have a half hour.
Stephen W. Fogel on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right, good morning. I have Mr. Nick Fertig here to my immediate right, the applicant. I have Ryan Cooper, RyanCooper here. He's not an applicant, but he's employed by the company. Then I have Mr. Dan Baumiller He's also an applicant on the application. And then I have Mr. Krista Field, who's also an applicant on the application. All right, so Full Tilt Brewing, you may have seen their beer, you may have consumed their beer. It's the project really started with Nick Fertig. It is apartment brewing as a young man and always dreamed of going for the big time. And so over the last few years, he's been contract brewing up at Peabody Heights through another brewery. And he's, with the help of a lot of people, about to realize his dream of a headquarters, home base, brick and mortar brewing facility of his own.
And it's on York Road. What's the cross street?
Bologna and Benninghouse kind of
Oh,
come
okay.
together.
Okay. I
It's
know
the
where you mean.
Accelerator building.
I know where you mean.
Yeah, it's a very attractive space with some other small businesses in there. And they have gone through from the federal brewing level to the state brewing level and now to the local level. I want to go ahead and give you some information. First up is the manufacturer's brewing license.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And you see there's a brewing license issued to Mr. Fertig and Mr. Baumiller for the use of Full Tilt Brewing at that location. Next in the packet, I don't know what you'd received or what not. There's a letter of support from Mid-Govans Neighborhood Association, letter of support from Govanstown Business Association. I believe I was told that Councilman Henry would be writing a letter, and it's been received. Great. Next page is you'll see an updated floor plan.
We also have a letter of support from the York Road Partners.
Wonderful. And a menu, and then we get to the financials. It's a $1.2 million SBA loan that they're working with. And what is the name of your general contractor?
FM Harvey.
FM Harvey. Okay, it just didn't come out in the printout. It just looks like a coat of arms there. Like I say, it's a $1.2 million project that includes some really heavy-duty equipment, as you know, with brewing. It's an enormous capital startup. I also have the kitchen build-out is actually pretty, it's about the cheapest I've ever seen as far as a hood and deep fryers and things like that. But I also have an extra. Mr. Fertig has been going through hundreds of invoices, and he has broken down some notable build-out costs for me that still appear to total about $500,000, just so it might be easier for you to see what they're spending their money on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd move for the admission of my evidence packet as
They'll be received.
Exhibit 1. Thank you. And Exhibit 2, the build-out costs.
Also. Okay, so,
So, yeah, real quick, Ryan Cooper, not the licensee, but he has tremendous experience in the alcoholic beverage retail industry, and that's why they've brought him in. He's been a licensee. Have you been a licensee before? I've been a licensee. Yeah, he's been, come on up here. He's been a general manager at various licensed establishments in Baltimore City. He knows people. He knows customers. He knows how to manage crowds. He's worked in Federal Hill. We don't expect this to be a place that's going to be exclusively young people or anything like that. But he comes in with the experience on managing.
So he's managing this.
Yes.
He will be managing this.
okay, and how many people will be working for you?
Bartenders wise, we'll have about 10 to 12. We have a brewer. We're going to have an assistant head brewer. So about 15 employees.
Okay, and they'll all be trained by you?
Yes, and they'll all be alcohol certified. We are all already alcohol certified already, and we will get all of our bartenders alcohol certified as well.
Okay.
When is this set to open?
Actually, it looks like we could be open as soon as December 14th is the goal right now. We broke ground in July. We started with the architect much before that. We've been working on this project for a year and a half, and we're pretty close. We're on the brink.
I'm just curious, and this has nothing to do with your license, where will the parking be? Along York Road?
So right now it's going to be York Road. We've worked with the school. We're going to be able to use their parking after school hours. It's going to be Benninghouse, street parking essentially. Yeah.
Very excited to see this new brewery. Believe me, you're going to be the 11th brewery here. I've got a number
in
in my head.
Baltimore City,
Yeah, I
yes.
think number 11, so it's very exciting to see our city returning to its brewing heritage, and I appreciate your time here today.
Okay. Commissioners, anything?
Nothing else.
Mr. Christofield, any issues with your licensee, or we're a licensee for Shuckers? Any issues there, violations, any?
No, as far as alcohol, they just went out of business.
During your time being a
No,
licensee?
no
you had-
violations.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you then. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, the exhibits received and testimony received, I'd vote to approve the application for new Class B beer, wine, and liquor. Well, this says restaurant license. Is it different than a microbrewery license?
This is in fact a restaurant license.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
that's what I'm voting to approve.
I concur on the same bases and vote to approve the application for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license.
I too vote to approve for a new Class B beer, wine, and liquor restaurant license. Good luck.
Thank you very
Good luck to
much.
you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I'd call exhibits for the record. Applicant Exhibit 1, combined exhibit package. Applicant Exhibit 2, build-out cost breakdown. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support dated 11/28/2018 from Councilman Bill Henry. Board Exhibit 2, letter of support dated 11/18/2018 from Mid-Govans Neighborhood Association. And Board Exhibit 3, letter of support dated 11/26/2018 from York Road Partnership. Thank you.
2401 Corporation, trading as Liquor Depot, 2401 Bel Air Road. This is a Class A beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kudensky, representing the applicant.
Good morning. Are you Mr. Skipper?
I am, yes.
Would you raise your right hand, please, sir?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Mr.
This
Kudensky?
is an application for transfer of an existing license. This is a little unusual location. I don't know how far back anybody goes with regard to this, but I remember when I was going to high school with my cousin Stosh from East Baltimore, we used to call it the Two Guys property off of Belair Road. Went up the hill, there was people were in business known as Two Guys.
That was a big box store.
Yeah, and then, of course, now it's a food depot up there. Sits up there by itself, and right next to it is the liquor store. Has parking for probably 200 or 300. It's really off the beaten path. It's more for the people that go into the food depot. It's not a kind of place where it's a magnet that draws people, and it hasn't had any real problems at all the whole time it was there. Most people even know there's a liquor store up there. In this case, Mr. Skipper has been familiar with the location for probably the last 16, 17 years. He's worked in there. There's about 6 or 7 employees that he's going to keep in there. He'll have his manager certified. He's already been certified by Alcohol Awareness. We're going to make sure he's familiar with the rules and regulations of the liquor board, and he is going to be there almost every day.
Okay. So you've been there operating for how long?
I'm sorry?
Do you operate a supermarket there?
I do not know.
Oh, okay. So,
He's been working in there the last 16 or 17 years with the current people that are there, and he was going to keep the current people
I understand.
there.
okay. Commissioners?
I don't have any questions.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the application, the proffer from council and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Good luck.
I loved it. I just never know where your stories are going. I don't know if there's going to find out there's a third brother that we weren't aware of.
I'm trying to help them out here. Another brother by another mother, right?
No exhibits.
Bubs LLC, trading as Mahaffey's Pub, 2706 Dillon Street. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Good morning, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of applicants.
Morning. Would you folks raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay.
All right, thank you. I'm saving my best for last here on the morning docket. I don't even need any notes. This is one of my favorite places in all of Baltimore. I've been a customer for over 15 years. About 8 years ago, I met Alice Kistner, who had a different name at that time, a different last name, and Dennis Kistner, who were employed there as bartenders. They worked for Wayne Mahaffey, the eponymous Mahaffey's Pub, for many years, and they saved up, they worked hard, and they're buying the business. Mr. Mahaffey's retiring and moving offshore, and we're excited for him, but we're also excited because so much change comes to Canton. You know, in the 18 years I've been there, the Canton Crossing with its steel and glass. I like some of the new changes in Canton, but I also pine for Old Baltimore. So I was very excited when I found out that Alice and Dennis are stepping up to take over this place and that they're not going to change anything. It's a family-friendly place. They actually have a happy hour with parents and children upstairs on Mondays with toys and playpens. They donate to the local school, Hampstead Hill Academy. They're just excellent business neighbors, and they're also residential neighbors who live right there in Canton within walking distance to the restaurant. I've eaten their food for years. They have a very popular beer club where people join, and they track how many beers they drink, and they get certain awards for it. The local chapter of the Society for the Preservation of Beer and Wood, a lot of craft beer aficionados basically use it as their home base. It's a wonderful part of Canton and the fabric of Canton off the square, and I'm very excited about these guys because these guys know alcohol management really, really well. They're bartenders. That's what they do for a living. Alice has worked previously on the square at JD's Smokehouse and some other places. Dennis, I think you've had some.
I've been at Mahaffey's for 14 years.
14 years. There you go. So my math isn't good, but I know how to get there.
How large
So.
is it?
Sorry?
How large is it?
Right now we have 70. Oh, sorry, sir. Dennis Kistner. It's a row home corner. 71. I think it's fire marshal zone for 71 seats.
Yeah.
Okay.
And downstairs, I think 41 upstairs.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have questions?
No questions?
Just, Ms. Kistner, any issues at Bistro RX? You were, okay, great.
Yeah, the owner of Mahaffey sold it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the proffers from council, and testimony, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I join my colleagues and vote to approve the transfer.
Good luck.
Thank you all.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Need someone to clap for you now.
Thank you, Leanne.
Any exhibits on that one?
No exhibits.
Sullivan's of Baltimore, LLC, trading as Sullivan's Steakhouse, 1 East Pratt Street, Suite 102. This is a Class B beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Thank you. Leanne Schreckengoss with Royston, Muller, McLean, and Reed here on behalf of the applicants.
Good morning. Would you gentlemen raise your right hands, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
And your names?
James Dale.
Okay. Okay. You're not on the license?
It's the transfer. I'm
Mr. Deo is
Oh,
is
okay,
a
I'm
new
sorry.
applicant, and Mr. Evans is the general manager of the Sullivan's location. Should be a letter in the board's file requesting the excusal of the other two applicants.
That's fine.
Mr. Huey Hunt is staying on the license as the resident licensee. Unfortunately, has a pretrial conference in Prince George's County right now. And Mr. Machado, the third licensee, is the CEO of Romano's Macaroni Grill and now the Sullivan's Concept and had prior business. So there should be a letter in your file to that extent.
Okay.
With that being said, it's a transfer of ownership. The licensed entity is not changing other than it's converting from a corporation to an LLC. It is the parent company that changed. Lone Star Finance LLC sold its equity interest in the licensee to Sullivan's of Baltimore, to Sullivan's Holdings LLC. The overall operation of the restaurant is not changing. They're going to continue to have the live music, which consists of their jazz duos from Tuesdays to Fridays in the bar area. The hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, 4 to 11 on Saturday, and 4 to 11 on Sunday. I do have for the board as an exhibit a copy of their updated menus for lunch and dinner, which were not included as part of the original file.
Okay, they'll be received.
The restaurant has 68 employees, 32 of which are involved in the sale or service of alcohol. All of the managers and bartenders have gone through the state-approved alcohol awareness program, and before any of the employees hit the floor, they go through a 7-day orientation program, of which 1 full day is dedicated to alcohol awareness training, awareness, and service. As I indicated, well, I didn't tell you, Mr. Deo is the CFO of Romano's Macaroni Grill and the Sullivan's Concept. So he and Mr. Machado are going on the license along with Mr. Hunt, who's remaining on as the resident licensee. So other than that, there are no changes at the operational level. And if you have any specific questions, both gentlemen are available to answer.
I apologize. I missed your name on the list here, so that's okay. So you've been there how long?
I've been with the company for 3 years.
Okay. And do the commissioners have questions?
Yes, for Mr. Evans, how long have you been at Sullivan's?
I've been with Sullivan Steakhouse for 5.5 years. I've been the general manager since May of 2014.
Okay.
Questions?
No other questions.
Anything further?
Nothing
All right,
further.
thank you.
Submit.
On the basis of the materials contained in the application, proper from council, the exhibit received and testimony, I'd vote to approve the transfer of ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
I join my colleagues and also vote to transfer the ownership with the continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service.
Good luck.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd call exhibit for the record. Applicant exhibit 1, updated menu. Thank you.
I think so.
Mr. Page, is that our morning document?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is at recess until 1 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're running a smooth ship here.
Yeah. You being the chair.
Yeah.
I've got to groom one of you. Mr. Page, we're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. The Board of Liquor License Commissioners for Baltimore City proceedings will begin. The board is now in session. If you're in possession of any type of electronic device, please place said device on the off or silent mode during proceedings. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, there being no preliminary matters on the PM docket. Case number 1. Are we going to go out of order, Mr. Chairman? We're going to go out of order.
Yes, let's go out of order.
Okay, we're going to call case number 2 on the PM docket, which is KR Entertainment LLC, trade name pending, 300 South Exeter Street. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, these proceedings are recorded and televised. Anyone who will be testifying will be sworn. You'll have to speak into the microphones, give your name so that the reporter to my left can take it down. Who's here on the first case?
Applicants for 300 South Exeter Street. Please come forward.
Is this the first case or everything?
I didn't think this was this case. I don't know what that is.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Peter Priebus on behalf of the applicants.
Good afternoon. Who's here on this case?
You can't walk up here.
Hi, I am Giovanna Blatterman.
We need everyone to raise their right hands.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Donna.
You want to hurry?
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Previous, what do we have?
Chairman, we have an application for transfer of the license to 300 South Exeter Street. Ms. Blatterman is here.
I believe because, I let her speak for herself, but that when this license was initially moved to this location, there was some legislation authorizing it to be transferred within 300 feet of St. Leo's Church. And that's all that we know as applicants. Ms. Blatterman takes the position that there's some other agreement, written or unwritten or otherwise, that I've never seen that says that the license cannot be transferred from the Mogavero family.
Okay, but putting that aside, I'll hear from her in a minute. What's your application about?
Okay, so this is an application for transfer of ownership but not location for the premises currently operated as Mugs. There is no outdoor table service. I want to make it clear because there may have been some confusion. There is no request for outdoor table service with regard to this request. There was an amendment of the initial application because the initial Baltimore City resident had moved out of Baltimore City. So there was an amendment to add the applicant, Ms. Mary Jo Coybro, did I say that right, who is present.
Okay.
The building has in fact been purchased. The entire purchase price for the building and the license was $90,000.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. How much?
$90,000. The place has been operating. Ms. Mogavero has been opening to make sure that she's complied with all liquor license rules with regard to keeping the license alive. The Richards, Ms. Coyro is going to be the current operator. It's going to be run as a neighborhood bar and restaurant. Mr. and Ms. Richards, they do live in State College, Pennsylvania, but they are in Baltimore half of the time. They own 2 other properties in the Little Italy area, and they are here all of the time. Initially, they met with, I believe, I'm going to call Mr. Richards to give the history of meeting with the community associations and who's still here and who isn't.
And your name is David Richards?
Okay, Mr. Richards, you were sworn?
Yes.
Okay, and we quite some time ago, we applied for this transfer application, is that correct?
We did. We applied back in the spring. The hearing was delayed due to a request, I believe.
Okay, and that April 2018?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Did you have occasion to try to reach out to the community associations?
Well, yes, we emailed and called Gia to meet with her group. In addition, we've met with numerous local people. We have 19 signatures on a petition supporting this, which includes 2 of the closest existing license holders are supporting this, and many of the neighbors in the adjacent homes support it. We also attempted to...
I'm going to hold you off here, and I'm going to ask that this be, I'm going to show it to Ms. Blatterman, and I'm asked to be admitted as Applicants Exhibit 1, which you have 19 signatures, and these are folks that live in the immediate area of the proposed
live or
location?
own property in the immediate area.
Okay.
So what about the backgrounds on the
Okay.
applicants and what they're going to do and who they're going to hire and who's going to manage it? And et cetera?
Okay, so Ms. Coyro is going to operate. She's the Baltimore City resident. Ms. Lori Richards not only has experience, but in fact taught Safe Serve for 26 years. Is that right? So that she has ample knowledge and experience with regard to alcohol awareness.
How many employees?
How many employees?
There'll be probably 2 employees.
Okay, and they'll be trained and alcohol certified? That's a yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We're on the record, so we have to.
Thank
Okay, and any other changes to the establishment?
Not currently.
Okay.
I have a question about the live entertainment. The use and occupancy says no live entertainment, but there's a request for live entertainment?
No, just to be clear, there's no request for live entertainment, and there's no request for outdoor
Says
table
without.
service. There may have been
Oh, that's
some,
what the zoning says, sir.
But then the application says.
there may have been some confusion with the addendum. I thought that was just outdoor table service, but there is no request. It's going to be a quiet place.
Okay, did you have any questions?
Mr. Previous, can you give me a little more comfort on, assuming we're going to move forward on this license, which is an open question, give me a little more comfort in terms of the Richards and their presence here in Baltimore. I mean, they both are in State College, which is at least a few hours away.
talk to that?
Yeah,
please.
Mr. Richards, I asked you to address the board with regard to your experience and your connection to the Baltimore and Little Italy area.
My wife and I have been buying property in the Baltimore area for a number of years.
Can you step up to the mic?
We own, I think, 9 rental units at this point. Our intention is to retire in a few years and retire to Little Italy. And we've started to acquire properties in that area. We've been fixing them up and enhancing the neighborhood quite a bit. I'm on the board of directors of a publicly traded company. Lori has 24 years of the restaurant business. Mary Jo has extensive management experience. She's kind of front of the house, operations, and then financial management. We'll be opening this thing on a limited basis initially, hopefully try to find something, a concept that the neighborhood embraces, and then we may partner with a longer-term full-time restaurant operator at some point down the road, but that's, we're going to operate it ourselves initially.
Okay. So you're committed to the city, you're committed to being present for this
We
license?
love the
Because as
city.
you know, it's
Yeah, absolutely.
your responsibility.
No,
to
we're gonna
support
live
you.
here.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
How many addresses do you own in Little Italy currently?
3.
3, okay. And there are several units in each of those?
Yeah, 2, 4, 6 units.
Okay. And where do you stay when you're in Baltimore?
Sometimes in our units and sometimes in a hotel.
Okay. And how many days a week are you here already?
Well, we've been here since Monday this week, and we're probably here half the time, I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further, Mr. Privas?
No, sir.
Okay, Ms. Blatterman, you wanted to address us?
Yeah, first of all, just to have a couple minutes.
You have to pull the microphone down so you can speak into this.
I'm sorry.
I mean to interrupt, so I finish. I just ask that the petition be admitted.
Right.
Ms. Blatterman's
Well,
still holding
this
on
is
to
the
it.
first
Yes, it'll be
I've
received.
seen this, and a lot of the names here are true. There are some property owners on the block, and there are also a lot of renters. And Miss Mugavero actually has her name on here, and she actually does not live there. She has a property that is for rental, or a couple properties actually that are for rental. Why are we here?
Well, you sent us a letter, so we know you think that you have some agreement. Tell us about the agreement.
Well, if I can just take a few minutes, because I feel as though our community was shanghaied in this whole deal.
I understand, but we're not a party to that, so tell us
I
what
understand.
kind of an agreement you have.
The agreement that I had that was signed by John Pica said that they were never going to sell the license in our community. When we started on this venture to help out the Mugavero family, okay, because it was a legacy to Muggs. We all love him. We love the family. We were a little hesitant because it was a bill that had to be introduced. It was a special item, and I spoke with Greg. I very seldom spoke with Gail, and Greg is the brother, and he assured me, and when he came to the meetings, he assured us that it would never be sold. It's a legacy to his father, for his children and grandchildren, and it would never change hands, as did Mr. Pica. We also were told that it was going to be a beer and wine license, to which every single approval from every entity states that it was a beer and wine license that it was supposed to be. Imagine our shock when the transfer came posted November of 2017, and it said liquor, beer, and wine. We thought, oh my God, what happened here? Now, we trusted Mr. Pica. We trusted him to abide by our request of what we wanted. We're not here to hurt anyone. We're here maybe for justice, or to put on the record, I think what has happened is wrong. First of all, I heard a price of $90,000 as a sale for that building.
No, for the license.
For the license was $90,000?
$390 total.
Building was $90,000? It's $390. They paid $11,000 for it, and you paid $90,000. Well, I have here items, approval from the church, the archdiocese, from 3 organizations. Every single one of them enumerate beer and wine.
Well, what does the legislation say?
The
We're bound by whatever the
legislation
General
also,
Assembly did.
when I spoke to John Pica, he said, yes, you're right, we agreed to all that, you're right. Call Bill Ferguson, he's the one that did it. So when I called Bill Ferguson, he said, John Pica said to us that he went for a beer and wine only, but that Billy said, no, I'm going to give him everything. When I spoke to Senator Ferguson, he said, don't worry, G. If you take, I'm going to send you the bill, and it will make a reference to a memorandum of understanding in the bill. Because we had a memorandum of understanding with Mr. Pica.
But he doesn't own the license.
He's not one, but he's their representative. He represented the Magavero family, and he signed for them on a lot of documents.
Ms. Blatterman, do you have that agreement?
I have one of them,
I mean, I don't know.
believe.
And is it attached to the license, which
No,
appears to be a
when
beer?
when I called the liquor board to find out what was going on, they said it was not put into the record, even though it was given to us. So we're a little taken aback because we feel as though that we were taken for a ride here. You could see every single one. Would you like to look? Every single one
may
of
pass
our
them up.
approvals, every single one denote beer and wine. I'm sorry. As a matter of fact, there may be the one from the Little Italy Property Owners Association says a liquor license. That's the only one. However, if you take a look at their meeting and the meeting that was held for the community, it denotes here what was spoken about, how it was presented to us, and it said
This one
about
says
a
liquor.
beer and wine license.
So does this one. These two of the three you gave us say beer, wine, and liquor
Where do they say beer?
in the letters.
No, they don't.
Well, I can read.
Let me see. This is, I'm sorry. This is St. Leo's. It says beer, wine, and liquor.
But did you read them?
I did.
I'm not sure I understand the point, though. I know that you're unhappy with this, but we have. She's not going to let me talk.
6-day beer and wine.
6-day beer and wine license. That's one. Yes. The others say beer, wine, and liquor.
No, this one says liquor, but that was a letter written by the president, but our meeting,
I understand that you
We
believed
understood the
that
wine
was only going to be one, but that's not what happened. Did you go to Annapolis and testify in front of them?
no, I didn't go
Well, the
to
bill
Annapolis.
passed.
I spoke with them. I understand that it did. I want this on the record. Do you mind?
I don't mind. It's all going to be received.
This also
But
says-
you're talking to the wrong body.
I just feel, well, the body should take this into consideration.
Take what into consideration?
And the fact that we did a good thing for this family, and they didn't.
Okay, but if you have a claim against them, you know that you have to go to court about that.
Right, right. I guess so. Anyway. The only thing I have, and then also, we have never had a business plan. I spoke with this gentleman about a business plan. I spoke with Lori about a business plan. Always I ask for a business plan, and then in their response to me, it says that they don't have a business plan because they intend on renting the premises out.
Ms. Blatterman, I have to stop you. I'm not sure that there's anything that requires us to require
I
them
thought
to give you a business plan.
I thought the community.
Let me ask you, let me just finish.
Go ahead.
Are you a licensee in the area?
I am a licensee in the area, and I abided by the same request that the people asked me to abide. It has nothing to do with anything other than
But I'm
to
trying to
abide
understand
by
your
the
point,
same
that's all.
thing. The point is that I feel as though the family took advantage of the community. And I thought I didn't think that was very nice. We were told one thing and something else was done.
Okay. Did you have something you want to add, sir? Which is? This letter? Yes, okay. And your name, sir? Mhm.
I'm for the man, but I'm not for the transfer of
License.
The license, the building was posted last November for a hearing in December, sometime after December 2017. Here we are, a couple of weeks shy of 1 year. The place is still vacant. On the property itself right now, it says for lease. It has a for lease sign on it for a number of months. I'm against the transfer because I was at the meetings when we were told by Greg, Muggs' son, that if and when they ever sold the property, they would never sell the liquor license with it. A special law had been enacted because it's so close to St. Leo's Church. They did everything that they were supposed to do up to that point. For these people to get what they want, I was talking to one of the owners of the property. He wants to work it himself and build the business to see what little it needs. That property has been vacant for 1 year. I think he had ownership. I'm not sure when he bought it. But if that's what he had wanted, he should have started a year ago, build the business, see if he needed a liquor license. The business has been closed for many, many, many months. And that's it. Like I said, we were told one thing. Now they're trying to sell a license. And the original application said the sale of the property hinged upon the transfer of the liquor license. The man went and bought the property, and the liquor license is still in process. I feel the property should have been posted again for this hearing. This way the community would have known what was going on. There's a Little Italy Community Association. Whether she had a meeting or not, I don't know. LaPoa never had a meeting. St. Leo's Church was never asked again, what do you think if we take this place over? There's a business association, there's a restaurant association, and there's another restaurant association. So there's 6 associations down there, and this man comes up with 19 signatures. Gail is on one of them. She doesn't live in the neighborhood. I think he's on one of them, 923 Fawn Street. It looked like it was the last name of here. The community don't know what's going on, and it's a year. So please take into consideration, a memorandum of understanding was, I'm not going to sell the property with the liquor license. Now we're being told they want to transfer the license. It's been a year since this thing has been going on. It's got to come to an end sooner or later. And the property is still posted right now saying for lease. And I don't think it says turnkey operation, but come on in, you can go to work. Just get the proper permits to open the doors and you ought to be okay. So,
Just one final statement, then I'll leave you guys alone. The property was leased out in July of 2016 for 9 months. I guess it was leased out for longer. The gentleman lasted 9 months. The entire time, it was a BYOB. That license, the gentleman, Todd, and I don't know his last name, was not allowed to use the license on the premises. It was BYOB, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, and March of 2017. That's why we thought, okay, he's going to take the license. They're going to take the license and sell it outside of the community. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had his tenant not be able to use the license. So it was a BYOB. That was done, I guess, against law because you're supposed to have, I think, a corkage license on your liquor license in order to have a BYOB. But that's the truth, and that's why we didn't think anything, because it was being used as though the license was going to be moved out of the community. That's all. They're lovely people. This is nothing personal. I think what was done to the community was disgraceful.
Maybe. You understand that there's no memorandum of understanding attached to this license?
there's none in the files. That's the most scary part. Whether there's one down in Annapolis, there's none in the liquor board. I was able to go to your website when this thing first started and go The original application was online. When I found out that it was going to be held again, I went online. The application's not there anymore. I came up to your office the day after Thanksgiving. I talked to Tom somebody.
Tom Akris, probably.
Yeah, he was trying to answer, all my questions.
That's what the
And I knew
senator
I had to be
sent to me. He said, you don't have to worry about anything, G, because we already have it in the bill that there was an MOU attached to it. He sent that to me.
But it was never made a part of the license, so I don't know what the senator's talking about.
Well, it's in writing.
Okay. Anything further?
If the board needs clarification, Ms. Gail Mugavero, the current licensee and operator, is here, as well as Mr. Richards with regard to his.
Mr. Priebus, can I ask you a very specific question? So Mr. DeChico raised some interesting points.
Okay.
One in particular, can you explain about the timeline here, specifically the question being whether the license is alive?
Yes. Let me, before,
Mr.
I'm going to let you talk, but before I do that, we filed the transfer application, I believe, in the November ad of 17. Okay, so any discontinuance of the license is told as of November of 17. The board summary indicates the inspection was there in September 13, 17, and at that time the establishment was open and operating. Now, the contract was contingent upon the successful transfer of the liquor license. And we had filed in November, but at the request of Ms. Blatterman to meet with the community, we postponed the December hearing and met with them. So any delay was out of cooperation, not out of trickery.
But your application had been submitted, thereby tolling the...
Yes, yes. So ultimately, because the things had been going on and on and on, the parties decided to go ahead and settle on the real estate, and it was agreed that Ms. Gail Mugavero would continue to operate subsequent to the settlement in order to keep the liquor license valid in the event that there were any questions about the validity of the liquor license. But yes, the transfer application was in fact filed. Ms. Mugavero, you wanted to address the board?
I just want to give you an...
State your name for the record.
Hi, Gail McGavro. I'm on the license with my... I'm sorry? My last name? Gail is G-A-Y-L-E. Last name is McGavero Grimm. It's M-U-G-A-V-E-R-O hyphen Grimm, G-R-I-M-M. Okay? An adequate history of things as they have occurred is that my father retired. He ran the building. My father retired in 2011. My brother and I, Greg, who is on the license, opened in 2013. We purchased the liquor license in 2014, not 17 as was stated. So this was all said and done in 2014.
Was that a beer, wine, liquor license?
Yes, it was. It was never changed. It's been the same. We briefly closed because of my father's illness, and we applied for a hardship letter with the board, which was granted in 15, and we opened partially, part-time, on and off in 2016, leased the place to someone that it did not work out in 2017, and then sold the building early 2018. I have dates of liquor purchases and parties that we held that sold liquor.
Let me ask you a question, though. Did you or your brother enter into a memorandum of understanding with community organizations?
No. I have all the, I'm sorry? Oh, okay. Not that I remember. I remember.
Why would why would the senator have thought you did?
I remember always saying it, of course it was for our family and for our business, but how could we ever say that we would never sell anything? You can't say that.
I don't know. I'm just asking you.
No.
That's what's been represented to us. Okay.
No. And I mean, I have.
Any such document, so.
I don't.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I mean, I have taxes that I've paid, filed every single month. And copies of that, copies of proof of keeping everything up as recommended.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions?
And I have a full inspection here that was done by John Howard on 9/17, stating it was opened in
9/17, which year?
2017, yes.
How long was that open that day? That 2 hours? How long was that open in 2017?
It's okay, we're done. Do you have any questions?
I don't.
Can I ask just one
Yes.
more question? The license is is trying to be transferred. What kind of license is it? 6-day beer, wine? Is it for a restaurant? Is it
For a tavern?
Tavern.
What is the classification, and is this meeting going to fall right in line the way the license is written? If it's supposed to be for a tavern, I would imagine it's different than what you can do if you had it for a restaurant.
It's the existing license, the one that the Guevara family had, they're transferring it.
Right, so it's going to be for a tavern with food services.
Yes.
The license doesn't change, it's the same license.
Yes.
Still beer, wine, and liquor.
There are restaurant facilities,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean that you can't operate a restaurant facility with a Class D tavern license, 6-day, 1 o'clock.
But if you want to know all the parameters of a Class D license, Mr. Akers will explain it to you after the hearing, okay? Thank you. Anything further?
Nothing further.
All right, on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, the exhibits that have been received, and the testimony received, I vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I too concur and vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd close exhibits for the record. Exhibit of opposition, Little Italy Property Owners Community Meeting Flyer. Exhibit number 2, 3 letters of support from Muggs Bistro. Board Exhibit 1, letter in opposition dated 11/23/2018 from Michael DeChico. Board Exhibit 2, email of opposition dated from Gia Bladderman.
Thank you.
Applicant Exhibit number 1, petition of support. Thank you. Can I have the email from Ms. Bladderman, please? Thank you.
Baltimore Eagle LLC, trading as Baltimore Eagle, 2022 North Charles Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license. An application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment, requesting outdoor table service. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. My name is Adam Spence. I'm actually the receiver for the Baltimore Eagle. I was appointed by the Circuit Court of Baltimore
Before you
City.
go there, let me just, are there any counsel who are going to be noted in this case?
Peter Previs, along with Renisha Moore, on behalf of the applicants.
Okay. Everybody who is here, please raise, in this case, raise your right hands, please.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth? Raise your right hand, ma'am.
Counsel.
Counsel.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay. Did you want to enter?
Yeah, Stuart Caplow on behalf of John Yelsey.
Okay.
If I may, I'm sorry.
And as well, Scott Myers on behalf of Indigo Dreams LLC, who's a member in the Poor Crazy Guys.
Just returning to my point, I've been a court-appointed receiver for the Baltimore Eagle. I have a memorandum that I've prepared this morning, and I'll hand up copies to the secretary for the board. Essentially, at this time, because of the nature of a receivership, this board, I would assert, does not have jurisdiction. Normally, you would have jurisdiction to review title and determine rights and transfer licenses. However, the unique nature of a receivership places these assets of Baltimore Eagle, including the liquor license, within the breast of the Baltimore City Circuit Court. Once it's then removed to the Circuit Court, no creditor, no other court, no other entity can actually do anything with that title to that property without court approval or leave of court. So theoretically, they could go to court and obtain leave to come back here to determine title. But as you'll notice on the memorandum that I handed up, it indicates that the orderly process of the receivership court, which is the circuit court in this case, requires that it shall be permitted to determine the rights of the parties in that case without interference or interruption of a conflicting jurisdiction or of a separate and distinct action or proceeding. And that applies through the case law that I've reviewed to mortgages, to levies. And in fact, what's interesting is if you look at the last site from Forest Lake Cemetery, it says lien creditors, which is essentially what one of the people here is attempting to do, cannot enforce their claims and thus disturb the receiver's possession without the permission of court. Any attempt to do so would be a contempt of court. That's how serious this is. So at this point, to make this easy for the people in the gallery and frankly for the commission, I would basically assert that this hearing should not go forward until an appropriate declaration or determination by the circuit court that it's permitted to go forward.
So Four Crazy Guys LLC is the entity for which you're the receiver?
That's correct. In fact, attached to my memorandum is an order granting the motion to appoint receiver. And it actually, if you look on the third page, the second decretal paragraph states, ordered that Adam Spence Esquire, ... is appointed receiver for Four Crazy Guys LLC until such time as the court orders the dissolution and windup of the affairs of Four Crazy Guys LLC.
And this license is one of the assets of that LLC?
That's correct. I believe that it's actually there was a power of attorney used as a transfer of Four Crazy Guys. Unfortunately, because of the appointment of receivership, they just can't do that.
So is there a matter pending in the circuit court?
Yes. There is. I mean, the receivership is still pending. There is a dissolution proceeding. As you know, having been on the circuit court with the wind down, the court's role and my role as receiver is to preserve and protect the assets, to liquidate them if ordered so ordered by the court, and then distribute to creditors based upon court order. That's proceeding right now under my receivership as appointed by the court. And so ultimately, it's my position in this case that the circuit court, you may or may not know this, there's a dispute between priority of secured interest. There's two different secured interests. There's Mr. John Yelsick, who holds a security interest, and then there's the landlord who holds a security interest.
What's the status of all that? Are there hearing dates or anything?
Well, so I'm the receiver. I'm neutral. I can't file one way or the other and say, do this or do that.
Has the court set any kind of dates?
No.
If I may, there's a trial set in January 2019.
Okay. Are your clients parties to any of this?
No.
And were they aware that there's sort of a cloud on all of this?
Well, we're aware that there's litigation. The issue is, as I understand it, on September 11th, 2018, Judge DePietro, the copy of the order seems to say July 11th, but it was actually executed, signed by Judge DePietro on September 11th, 2018. There were two cases, as I understand.
Entered on the docket?
No, it was actually, the hearing was September 11th.
October 18th.
And thereafter entered, but the actual
That's not
copy
the date it was entered.
the copy that's in the liquor board file, Judge DePietro's, the date says July 11th. It's not. It's September 11th. Now,
whatever.
there's one lawsuit that filed by Mr. Yelchik, one of the.
Who's Mr. Yelchin?
He is one of the four owners of Four Crazy Guys LLC, and he's also a secured creditor. He filed a declaratory judgment action against Four Crazy Guys LLC and I believe the other members, but never joined the landlord secured creditor Baltimore Eagle LLC. Now, there was also a receivership action that was filed, and those two cases, as I understand it from looking at the case search, were consolidated. So the same day, September 11, 2018, Mr. Spence was appointed receiver. So the receivership, the effective date of the receivership is September 11, 2018. The Baltimore Eagle gave back the premises and terminated the lease on July 25th or 26th? 25th or 26th of 2018. 26. In the addendum to the lease, there's an addendum because the liquor license, when the lease was first executed in November 8, 2015, there wasn't yet a liquor license. The liquor license for the Eagle as of then was up in the Court of Special Appeals awaiting to see whether it was still alive. But there was a HIPPO license that came in 2016 and the board approved the transfer. So there's an addendum to the initial license in which it is agreed that upon termination of the lease, the license is transferred to the landlord, and that the landlord has a first lien and security interest upon the license. Supreme Court, I believe as far back as 1823, indicated that a power of attorney coupled with an interest is irrevocable, even with regard to the estate, the PR of the debtor. So here, even a receivership is appointed, that power of attorney is coupled with an interest. The liquor license had already left the rest of the receivership estate before it was created on September 11th. So we weren't made parties to any actions. We're still not parties to any actions.
Are you a necessary party?
If I may, Your Honor, they're a secured party. This is an attempt to foreclose upon a security interest by one secured party. It's opposed by another secured party, and there's a dispute over secured party status and who has priority. As I noted in the last full paragraph of my memo, lien creditors cannot enforce their claims and thus disturb the receiver's possession without permission of the court. That's exactly what they're doing, is they're disturbing my possession of that. Now, they say that this power is irrevocable, and that may be relevant to the circuit court's determination of who owns the license, but at this point, Four Crazy Guys still owns the licenses and still in possession of the license until it's transferred. Any action by this board, I respectfully would submit, is in violation of my rights as a receiver and the circuit court's rights as holder of that property. In fact, it's not my rights as receiver. The property belongs to the circuit court, not to me, not to them, to no one. The circuit court has exclusive jurisdiction, regardless of whether they say they have a secured prior interest.
What's the date of your hearing in the circuit court?
I believe it's in January, but as far...
Do you have a date?
Your Honor, if I may,
Who are you?
Cynthia Pelasco on behalf of John Yelsick in the circuit court matter.
Hold on a second here. I'm going to have to get
Go ahead.
Cynthia Pelasco on behalf of John Yelsick. I represent him in the pending circuit court matters. P-O-L-A-S-K-O. Your Honor, we do have a trial set on January 7th in the circuit court. At this time, there are some counts that are pending against Four Crazy Guys LLC and also two individual members of Four Crazy Guys LLC, as well as a third individual who operated the bar.
Is all this still in front of Judge DePietro?
Your Honor, I don't know if it's been specially assigned to anyone at this point.
So nobody asked for it?
Correct. Your Honor, if I could also just correct something that was stated on the record. Mr. John Yelsick is not an owner of Four Crazy Guys LLC. He is not a member of Four Crazy Guys LLC. I believe it was stated that he was either a member or an owner, and that is not correct.
Your Honor, if I may, Stuart Caplow, there's a copy in your file, but also relevant, and there were two separate circuit court cases that were consolidated, and I believe Mr. Previs mentioned that. But very clearly, the circuit court in the declaratory judgment order made very clear on the final page of the order, and it's littered throughout the order, but the second paragraph on the final page specifically refers to this alcoholic beverage license and grants the rights to Mr. Yelsick. Our interest and our position today before the board is consistent with and we agree with the court-appointed receiver. I think that Mr. Spence was...
But the issue comes down to whether or not we have jurisdiction. And you believe we do, they believe we don't. So do you want to fight that out in circuit court, or do you want to brief it in front of us?
If I can state it a little bit differently, I don't say that you do or don't have jurisdiction. The board's function is to approve or not approve a transfer of a license.
It is, unless enjoined by the circuit court.
Right. So any issues with regard to the proper ownership rights or otherwise in a liquor license, I don't think can be decided by this board. What this board can do
I have no intention of deciding that.
Right. What the board can do is look at the documents and show that this license is not part of the estate. What Mr. Caplow is saying is analogous to if you have a husband and a wife who are arguing about ownership of their house, and in the divorce action, the court rules the wife has all ownership rights to the house, but while all that's going on, nobody's paying the mortgage, and Bank of America comes in and forecloses on the mortgage and sells it, and then they come in with a court order saying, I own this house. Well, it's gone already. And that's what happened here. A substitute application was filed by Ms. Moore, and the license was issued into the secured creditor's name. Now, in that addendum to lease, there are two things. There's one, a security interest in the liquor license. Mr. Yelsick signs that document as in the capacity as guarantor. he also, and there's another thing, and as a power of attorney coupled with an interest, that upon termination of the lease, the license gets transferred to the landlord, and they signed in advance the transfer authorization and the other forms that would be necessary for that.
Okay.
So,
So I hear you, Mr. Previously. You think that we have the authority today to act, but I'm not going to take anybody's word for all this. So if you all want to brief it, we'll set up a briefing schedule and come back and we'll make a ruling based on that, and then we'll either go forward or we won't. Okay? How much time do you need?
Thank you, Your Honor.
15 days.
Okay, so,
Your Honor, I guess what I've done is I've sort of set the initial volley. If they could have 15 days to file an opposition or a statement that this court does, that this commission does have jurisdiction, and then allow me 2 weeks to have a similar opportunity to respond, and then we can set it for hearing after that. I think that might be.
okay, although at that point, we're up against January 1, and I wouldn't mind hearing what the judge in the circuit court has to say, so let's set it back in right after that hearing. And I'll read the briefs in the meantime.
One of the things that I don't want to lose sight of is that you're right about necessary party questions. Right now, we have a pending proceeding with one secured party. They're asserting a separate secured interest. I think that needs to be brought as almost an independent action or an intervention.
That's an issue for the court.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just want to make sure you understand that.
Okay.
Just,
Pardon?
January the 10th, 2019.
Yeah.
if I can ask for clarification, because we've never been joined in any actions, is the hearing on January 7th with regard to the receivership, or the action between Mr. Yelchik and, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, Yelchik and the LLC?
My understanding is that the hearing on the 7th is solely between Mr. Yelchik and his claims against Four Crazy Guys LLC and the 3 individual defendants as well. I do not believe that there is a receivership proceeding also going forward on that day.
And these cases are not consolidated?
They were consolidated.
They were consolidated. However, I don't believe that there's been a scheduling order or to any effect issued with respect to the receivership proceeding.
If the rest of the estate is in the receivership, I don't know how there can be a separate action. Is it to determine rights, or
Well, I guess my point.
is that hearing now moot?
Well, it doesn't concern us, and you're
I'm just
taking up our time. You, council can talk about that. We'll be happy to entertain your briefs, and we'll see you on January 10th. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
I'd like to call
Commissioners.
exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter from Charles Law Radio Association dated 11/27/2018. Exhibit of opposition, memorandum. Exhibit number 2, declaratory judgment order. Thank you.
It's a little noisy, just want to wait till they file it for, as a record for attorneys at a liquor board hearing. Hey, you ready? I was just waiting till it quieted down.
Oh, sure. You're in charge,
It's good
sir.
now, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be here until 5 o'clock.
Two DJ LLC, trade name pending, 3432-34 South Hanover Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership, requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Gentlemen, please raise your right hands.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, Murphy's Law here. These guys run food trucks. This is their prime time. I said, no problem. You'll be out of here in 30 minutes. So I'm going to speed talk now. First of all, and this is really exciting concept. 3 food truck guys come together to do a brick and mortar tavern with amazing food. It's in a location in Brooklyn, a surprising location. So you've gotten some letters of support from South Baltimore Business Association and another community. I won't take up too much time, but just let you know that we have Drew Pumphrey here, applicant A. He started the Smoking Swan swine after getting a smoker as a gift for Christmas back in 2010. He has catered Navy recruits in the Great Lakes Naval Station. He's done all sorts of work for Navy entertainments programs, and it's the next natural step is that he wants to go forward with brick and mortar. Smoking Swine, Mr. Pumphrey's company, won Best of Baltimore for City Paper, for the Baltimore Sun, and he's been featured on the Food Network. Really great guys. I'm going to give you the Smoking Swine's menu at this time.
Thank you.
And a letter from Mr. Pumphrey with some biographical information. Thank you. And now we have David Chapman. David is the owner of the Tizzy Pizzeria. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're the Green Bowl food truck. Green Bowl food truck here. And I also have his menu, some information on his company. And it's interesting. These guys are friends. And if you could hold that up. Yep. The Green Bowl food truck won the best food truck in Baltimore for the Baltimore Sun. And standing right next to him is the second place finisher, Mr. Pumphrey. So only fitting that that they should go into business together. Now we have Mr. Cowan, and Mr. Cowan is the owner of Tizzy Pizzeria. Just enjoyed their stuff over at the Halloween parade at Patterson Park. They have an incredible customer base, email list. Their Yelp reviews are out of this world. They understand
Thank you.
that although they don't have a lot of alcohol management experience personally, they have hired a manager who does have significant alcohol management experience. They understand that it's a privilege to have a liquor license in the city of Baltimore, and I'm looking forward to trying their place. Thank you very much.
Your manager has managed alcohol places?
My business partner's career, he worked at Pub Dog in Federal Hill for 10 years, helped them open up their new place in Columbia.
And he's alcohol certified?
Actually, all of us are.
Okay, and anybody that you hire will be trained appropriately as well?
Correct.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions.
I just wanted to, I see that you were a friend of the late Scotty McCusker. His family has provided my family their Thanksgiving oysters for many, many years, so I appreciate that.
And like he says, he learned from Mr. McCusker he's a great businessman and a great business neighbor.
Okay. Well, thank you. So on the basis then of the materials contained in the application, proffers from council, exhibits received in the testimony, I would vote to approve the transfer of the license with off-premise catering.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer of the license requesting off-premise catering.
I concur with my colleagues and vote to approve the transfer with the off-premise catering.
Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck. I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from South Baltimore Business Alliance. Exhibit number 2, letter of support from Concerned Citizens for a Better Brooklyn. Board Exhibit 3, letter of support from Councilman Reisinger. Applicant Exhibit 1, menu for Smoking Swine. Exhibit number 2, letter from Drew Pumphrey. Thank you.
Portside Tavern and Lounge, 2821-23 O'Donnell Street. This is a Class BD7 beer, wine, and liquor license, an application to transfer ownership with continuation of live entertainment and outdoor table service, requesting off-premise catering. Please come forward.
For the record, Melvin J. Kadensky. It was noted I have been given my address.
Yes.
Because I don't want to be found.
Okay. Understood. Please raise your right hands, folks.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
This is a transfer from an existing place, been there for a long, long time on the corner of the alley. Has 2 floors. The individuals that are here have actually been in there running the place since around June, so they've met all the people. They're familiar with the rules and regulation. They're all going to take alcohol awareness. They're going to have about 11 or 12 employees. The bar is open in the afternoons, where the restaurant is open earlier. They have added to the regular menu Nepalese food, so it's a little different type of operation. They are scheduled, and they will be talking with the Canton Improvement Association and probably go and have a meeting over there. Several of the parties here have had experience, and they have a manager who's here with them. Come on up here, Mohan. And he's had a lot of experience, and they've been there operating the place since June of this year.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth?
Would you come to this microphone, please, and state your name?
Mohan Thapa,
I have to spell that.
Mohan Thapa.
Thapa. Mr. Thapa, am I saying that?
Yes.
Yeah. So what is your experience?
I've been running a restaurants in Baltimore City and County for about 25 years. The first one was at 911 North Charles, called Kumari Restaurants, Indian restaurants. After that, I have had several other restaurants in Baltimore County and City. So I am helping them at these restaurants as a manager.
Have you had violations with liquor boards?
No, never had.
Okay. And I understand that you're going to have as many as 11 or 12 employees. Will you be training them?
I am training them now. We have about 13 employees now.
Mm-hmm.
And also, the neighborhood is very supportive for us adding Indian and Nepalese food. And they actually posted in Canton Neighbors Facebook page and welcoming us in the neighborhood. And they are having a party December 4th to discuss further to how they can help us.
Okay. Commissioners?
No questions.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Kadeski, on the basis of the evidence, the materials contained in the application, your proffers, the testimony that we've received, I would vote to approve the transfer with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering.
I, too, vote to approve the transfer with live entertainment, outdoor table service, and off-premise catering.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
No exhibits.
Send it to me, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Take your husband with you, okay?
R&J Market, 4812 Bowleys Lane, Class A beer, wine, and liquor license. I'm sorry, Class A beer and wine license only. This is an application to transfer ownership. Please come forward.
Thank you. Stephen W. Fogelman on behalf of the applicants.
Good afternoon. Would you raise your right hand, please?
All right, I haven't seen any letter from Harbell, but in any
A
event.
letter of support.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing?
Do you mind?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about this.
Okay, sure. Mr. Kim is 57 years old. This place is known, and I just got this case last night. This place has been known as R&J Mart. The name has been changed to S&M Mart. Mr. Kim has worked at the store for over a year now. The licensee, Moon Tak Lin, died last January, and his wife, Su Nam Lim, is the current licensee. She decided after his death to sell the business to Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim has 2 grown children. He understands the importance that this board takes when it comes to underage drinking, and he's been vigilant about carding everyone as he's been employed there. He has an under 35 ID policy, and he hasn't had any problems whatsoever in the year that he's been there, nor has the store had any.
The alcohol certified?
He is not as of this moment, but he will be.
Okay. And any other employees?
Just you? Yeah, he's a single employee. It's a small grocery store.
Okay. Questions?
No questions.
All right, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application, the proffer from counsel and testimony, as well as the letter of support from the Harbell Community Organization, I would vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
I concur and vote to approve the transfer.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good luck, sir.
Good luck. Thank you.
Like call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Harbell dated 11/16/2018.
Filippo's Pizzeria, 418-26 South Conklin Street. This is a Class BD7, Beer 1 and liquor license. Request to add live entertainment. Please come forward.
Are you Mr. Singh, sir?
Yes, sir.
Would you raise your right hand, please?
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
So do you own this license?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you had it?
About 4 years.
1 year or?
4 years.
4 years.
Yes.
And you want to add live entertainment, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes,
What's the nature of the entertainment?
It start from trivia, karaoke, small bands, and DJ occasionally.
Okay. And when you say small band,
Like 2 or 3 set.
okay. And how loud?
No, not louder than it should be.
Okay. And have you had any objection from anyone in the neighborhood about that?
No, not at all. I have the letters support.
You have letters of support?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to give them to us? They supported the Highlandtown Community Association and the Highlandtown Business Association. Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
I do not.
Okay, thank you. On the basis then of the materials contained in the application, testimony from Mr. Singh, letters of support from the local community organizations, I would vote to approve the request to add live entertainment to this license.
I concur and vote to approve the request to add live entertainment to the license.
I vote to approve adding live entertainment to your license, and thank you for connecting with the community for this.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
I call exhibits for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Highlandtown Business Association dated November 28, 2018. Exhibit number 2, letter of support from Highlandtown Community Association dated October 31st, 2018. Thank you.
David Berg, secured creditor, 1002-04 Light Street. This is a Class B, Beer 1 and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
For the record, Gary Maslin on behalf of David Berg, who is attending his daughter's wedding out of town. So I'd ask that his presence be excused. I did have one of his representatives here earlier, but unfortunately he had a pressing engagement he had to go to. This is a request for a hardship extension. My client was a secured creditor of a business on Light Street called Reggie's. Reggie's did not pay my client almost $800,000, which resulting in my client having to repurchase his property at auction sale. He is in the process of trying to sell it, and is actively has a broker and has showings every week. But as of this point, he doesn't have anyone that is willing to go back into this establishment. So we're just asking for a 180-day extension.
Is it 90 or 180?
This would be 180 days, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
Okay. Thank you. On the basis of your letter and the application and the proffer made here today, I would vote to approve the hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the hardship extension for an additional 180 days.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for an additional 180 days.
Good luck.
Thank you, Jim.
No exhibits.
Good seeing you guys. Drive Mr. Kudensky up the hill.
I thought he's not telling you what his address is. How will you know where to drop him off?
Well, I just dropped them off in the top of the hill. It's a
Ken Restaurant,
we
663
both have developed knee
dash
problems.
65 West Pratt Street. This is a Class D, Beer 1 and liquor license. A request for hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Melvin J. Kudensky, 320 North Charles Street.
Good afternoon. Mr. Kudensky, you've written and requested for an extension saying the parties are trying to resolve a few situations.
And what happened was this license was owned by the two brothers. His daughters were running the location. It's right across from University of Maryland Hospital. There was a dispute about getting the renewal app signed. Finally, Bart Sottle represents the other brother. He finally signed the renewal within a timely fashion. They're getting ready to reopen and resolve a lot of the issues. However, they had to get an extension of the license so they can then reopen the restaurant, and then the sale of the license is a pertinent part of the dispute. So they're asking for the 180-day extension and right to reopen the restaurant.
Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
No questions?
Okay, thank you. On the basis of the materials contained in the application and the proffer from council, I vote to approve the hardship extension.
I concur and vote to approve the hardship extension.
I vote to approve the hardship extension for an additional 180-day period.
Thank you. Good luck.
And is there, and the request to reopen, is there, can you explain that? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, because we didn't rule on that.
Normally, in the case of the place has been closed more than 90 days, this case, the place has not been closed. They've been open the whole time. They haven't had alcohol. So the main thing is that they be able to, been no opposition. People asking for it, so we're asking them to have the ability to reopen without having another hearing, because we've had this hearing.
I think, I'm not, Mr. Akers.
What's he trying to say?
I don't know. We're going to hear it.
Thomas Akers, Deputy Executive Secretary, Liquor Board, Baltimore City. I apologize. There was only a request made under 122202 for a hardship extension. There was no request made under 122203, which is if you've been closed for more than 90 days to request to reopen. That is a separate request.
But he says they've been continuously open.
They've been open.
But they have not been selling alcoholic beverages.
Does that close them?
Correct. 122202 states either you cease operations or you stop selling alcoholic beverages. In this case, the latter occurred, where there was cessation of the sale of alcoholic beverages for more than, or not more than, approximately 180 days. So there are two requests that are going on. Although the restaurant is open, the sale of alcoholic beverages ceased. So that requires them to come back to the board.
At this point?
Well, there was no request made to the board, and
Can he amend orally?
And that's why we're trying to do that. To take the path of least resistance.
Well, and
Yeah.
if he agrees to submit an application afterwards rather than have to go through this?
I don't know of any precedent for that, Your Honor.
All right. I don't know. Okay, I guess you're going to have to submit.
Well, I thought, what is he?
How quickly can we get them back on the docket?
They would need to just put in another letter, Your Honor, and make that request for the board. That way we can advertise it, post it, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
It's not recorded.
See you again.
We'll see you too. Have a good evening.
World Theater Company, LLC, trading as Mondo, 404-06 North Harwood Street. This is a Class D beer, wine, and liquor license. Request to reopen under Article 12-2203, where the licensed premises has been closed for at least 3 consecutive months, and a request for a 180-day hardship extension under Article 12-2202. Please come forward.
Are you Mr. Moritz?
I'm not. I'm representing him.
Your
He's
name
at Frederick Gerritz. Gerritz. Gerritz.
And is that this lady with you?
Yeah, this is Miss Mitchell from the.
What was your name?
Frederick, Frederick.
Garrett, or is that one?
Gerritz spelled Gerritz.
And Ms. Mitchell, you are?
Hi, Kristen Mitchell, the Executive Director of the Market Center Merchants Association.
Okay. You're here in support? Okay. And you have asked to be able to reopen and for a hardship extension for 180 days, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what's the status now?
We are still under construction, but the drywall is up, and we're looking to open in the next 30 days.
Okay, and we have a letter from the Downtown Partnership in support, as well as Ms. Mitchell's support. Commissioners have questions?
No questions.
So this is a hardship and request to reopen. All right, good. No questions.
Okay, on the basis then of the materials that were submitted and the letters of support, testimony and support, and your testimony, I would vote to approve both the hardship extension and the request to reopen.
I concur and vote to approve the request for hardship extension and the request to reopen.
I join my colleagues and grant the hardship extension and the request to reopen.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
I call exhibit for the record. Board Exhibit 1, letter of support from Downtown Partnership dated November 27, 2018.
I believe that's our docket, Mr. Page.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. The board is in recess until Thursday, December the 6th, 2018. We are adjourned.
18 minutes too late. Hey, Tom. Would you hold on to those and get, when they submit the briefs,